Happy Friday. It's that day again. I just got some more models today. I'm very happy with that. More Grey Knights to add to the burgeoning force over here. So today I wanted to, and anyone who has who's on the channel who I've spoken to for the past couple of weeks actually, one or two of you, who has been in the store that I worked in, you might recognise this story if you were there. But before I get into that, I just wanted to say that yes, I'm here with another Games Workshop video. Please don't complain. You know, I know you all love the Dragon Age videos and Black Coats videos, I know, but for the small minority of you who like the Games Workshop stuff, as you can see from my view count, here is another Games Workshop story. So this occurred around New Year of 2016. Yes, 2016. Around New Year's 2016. So I am working away, and I joined Games Workshop that summer, I think, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I've been working away, slaving away. We've been working really hard on Christmas. Christmas is the most popular and stressful time for a Games Workshop employee, especially in retail. Christmas is a nightmare. You are pushing, and the money that you get coming through the till at Christmas is obscene compared to the rest of the year. Like in my own store, I think we went from, say, I bring in around 300 to 600 pounds a week normally. Yeah, not a lot. I'd taken 300 to 600 pounds a week usually. And during Christmas, I would earn for the store. We'd be taking in about £1,000 at like a week, and this is a store that's being killed by online collections, by local trade accounts. You know, and we're still doing really good money. So, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so this story in particular. So we've been slaving away. Me and this other guy who've been working at Games Workshop. We'll call him James, as we usually call somebody else James. We'll call him James. We've been working our asses off, getting the store ready for Christmas and going through Christmas. And our manager, how do I put this? Wasn't the most popular bunny in the world. He how do I put it? Very condescending, very arrogant, very I'm always right, and a real job's worth. Okay, those are the things. Now, he had good sides to him as well. If you caught him in a good mood, you had a really good day at work, because you would just breeze through all the way to the end of the day, and he'd probably let you go a little bit early, and, brilliant, right? But this is the same kind of guy who on a Saturday morning would demand that we turned up an hour before our shift on Saturday morning so that we can go through training, quote unquote, which is how to be a Games Workshop employee. Essentially, we'd sit upstairs in the stock room, and I shit you not, he would have a whiteboard and he'd give us university-style lectures on leadership and how to approach the customer and how to sell them stuff. And I was just like, where does this stuff come from? This is manic. This is ridiculous. I found out where that stuff came from in the Retail Workshop video, and if you've not seen that video, go ahead and check it out. But yeah, he would get stuff from that Retail Workshop or from the latest leadership book he'd been reading, and he'd demand that we do these exercises. We had homework. We literally had homework. Like, we'd have to go and write stuff and bring it back, and it's just, oh god. Sorry, I'm on another tangent. So, anyway, towards New Year's Eve, I'm thinking, in fact it was New Year's Eve, I'm thinking, great, okay, cool. So, I'm gonna do some work and, blah blah, and we've been and he did do one really nice thing for us at Christmas, and that he let us paint our own models in store time, which was super cool. That's not something that, you're allowed to do normally. He said, as long as the money's going up, guys, you can paint your own models in store. As soon as I see you not attending customers because you're painting your own models, that will stop, obviously. But, for now, paint your own models. Don't worry about it. And that was really nice of him. That was really, really cool of him. So, I was hanging around in the store. It's quietening down now. We're on New Year's Eve, of course. So, the Christmas rush has already come and gone. And he says, hey, do you want to play a game? And I was like, hello. Sure, right? Sure, yeah, okay. And so we played 2 games, and the store's quite full at this point of regulars. I love the regulars in this store. Like, we got on like house on fire. We had a right laugh every single time I was in there. I wish people stopped fucking emailing me when I'm trying to do this. Every single time I was at work, we would just have an absolute blast. It was so fun. Especially, like, there was 2 weeks when this guy was off, where it was just me and the other staff member running the store, and it was like having a holiday. It was so... You were going to work every day and busting your ass and making good money and keeping the place neat and tidy and clean. But it was just such a blast, like, running the store, and that's what convinced me I wanted to be a manager, was when we had that 2 weeks. But anyway... He said, yeah, do you want to play a game? We'll play one 40k and one Sigmar. And I said, okay, cool. James was still working, and I technically finished. He was like, yeah, we'll play some 40k. And at this point, only one or two people in the store had beaten me. Which I don't really look at it as like a wins and losses sort of thing, but I'm just putting it into context. Like with the 7th edition Grey Knight list I had was very powerful. It was very good. And... 2 people had beaten me, one with a Skyhammer, and if you're watching this and you were from that store, you know exactly who I'm talking about. One with a Sky, I think he had 2 Skyhammer detachment, I can't remember. But one with a Skyhammer that just blasted you off the table at the top of turn 1, and another one who was a really good Space Wolf player. We just murdered each other basically. Oh no, I did lose another one to Dark Eldar as well. No, Eldari, when the rain came out and all that. But those are the only 3 I lost out of hundreds of games. That list was quite powerful. And I would take it in the neck from the manager all the time that he had, 10, 11, 12 armies upstairs, and, he can make any list work, and, anything that he did was going to be enough to beat what I was doing. So on my days off, I would come in sometimes and I'd play games. And I'd seen his armies upstairs. Put it this way, this is the guy who would criticize other people's painting really rudely as a manager, which is a no-no for me. But also, if you saw his own models, not that good. The best models he painted were Iron Warriors. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any chevrons on them. Yeah. So, moving on. This guy says, yeah, we'll play some 40k. Okay. And I said, so what list are you going to play? And he said, well, I'm going to play Space Wolves, because he loves Space Wolves. And I was like, all right, cool, that's fine. I'll play my Grey Knights, obviously, because I love me some Grey Knights. I've sold the army now, which is why I'm getting a new one, slowly but surely. And he was like, yeah, sure. So I played my army out there, and put it this way. By turn 3, it was finished. Like, I'd nearly tabled him, and I could see him getting more and more frustrated. Right? More and more frustrated as it went on. And I was thinking, fuck. This is the kind of guy who would fire me for this. He wouldn't overtly say it's for this. But this is the kind of guy who would actually bear a grudge. And I was on probation at that point still. 6 months. So I was like, he could find me at any time for any reason. I was like, okay. So I started to try and throw the game, but I'd mushed him so hard at this point that there was literally nothing he could do. Like, everything he tried, my models, not me, my models were throwing it back in his face. Because our position was so entrenched, we were doing really well. The army was pushing him aside. I basically 40k is a game of setting up your army so your army can go and win the battle. That's what I like about it, right? You don't really do that much when you think about it. You do a few tactical moves here and there, and you remember the right rules now and again. I love 9th because it really does focus on the player more than the army. But 7th was a very list heavy. You took a list, and the list won, basically. It was more like Magic the Gathering, you know what I mean? It was very predictable that way. And even though our lists were quite, similar in power level, sort of a thing, at that stage, he'd not played a game in maybe a year, 18 months. And at that stage, I was bleeding edge. Like, I'd been playing several games a week, tough games, for years. you know, and so I'm now here. And anyway, he's getting absolutely bushwhacked, and by the end of the start of the fifth turn, the fourth turn, I tried to make a few silly moves. Like I'd used my shunt already, so I jumped my Dread Knight away instead of charging. But he knew that he had to get rid of that Dread Knight to get him off of another objective, so he'd charge it. The Dread Knight would then kill his unit. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. That was going on all the time. Even though I was trying to give him a bit of a leg up so that he wouldn't be so pissed off. And he was getting more and more and more pissed off. But he was taking it out not on me, because that would be obvious. He took it out on James. James was just doing his job, and he kept mithering him and not shouting at him, but giving really sarcastic comments and telling him to do really degrading things like go and wash the model cabinet. The model cabinet had been washed that morning. Go and wash the model cabinet. Go and wash the windows. Go and pick things up from outside. We've never picked things up from outside. That's the one time he asked him to go and do it. It's really shitty things, like degrading things. So anyway, at the end of turn 5, he finally got tabled. No, God, I tell you, he had one thing left. And it was Logan Grimnar. Because Grimnar's fucking hard as nails. And I was going to charge him with Drago just to, you know, have that moment. And anyway, Drago's on 1 wound, and I'm like, I want to just have this really epic last fight, you know, with this really epic last fight. These two guys hate each other in the lore, obviously, for obvious reasons, because the things that have happened with the Space Wolves and Grey Knights. So, he charges. I say that's what I want to happen. He says, okay, fine. His Logan has not taken any damage at this point. He charges Kaldor Drago. He loses a wound on Overwatch. Right, so he's already lost the wound. He charges Kaldor Drago, and this is in 7th. He does no damage to Drago, who tanks everything. And Drago, on 1 wound, immediately turns around and skewers the fucker. Just kills him. So, and I don't know what came over me. Right, I don't know what came over me, but I saw James to my right, who's looking at him, and he just had a little smirk on his face as he was restocking shelves. I leant over the table, shook my fist really slowly, and went, yeah, like right in his face. And I don't know why I did that, even to this day. I don't know why I did that. It's like, so James immediately makes for the front door because he's gonna lose it. He's literally losing his shit. So he just goes to the front door. And this, you know, and this guy, again, I have to commend the manager for this, because I couldn't have kept my cool. He just went, well, you know, it's good game, you know, it was a bit of an OP list, though, And I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. It wasn't really. It was just a normal Grey Knight list. I just played it well, because I knew Grey Knight to the back of my hand. But, anyway, the second half of this story, that was on the 30th. On the 31st, he came in, and we were with the same group again. And as things were dying down, he said, oh, well, shall we do that Age of Sigmar game? How about you and James play me? And I was like, okay. Like, we're not even closed yet, so I'm doing this on work time. This is cool. All right, fine. So we get our armies together. But this time, he chooses the armies, because me and James don't have Sigmar armies. Or James does, but it's not in the store. So, we're setting things up and we're getting going, and obviously, you know, he plays trolls and orcs and all these other things, and he just wipes the floor with us, right? And it becomes very apparent to me, because we're playing chaos, it becomes very apparent to me that the armies that we have, the army that we have is woefully underpowered compared to his. And we say nothing, because we're in work and we're getting to play Warhammer as a job, right? So to me and James, we're just laughing along and, like, you know, we're making up little stories for the characters. And he starts getting annoyed again because we're not taking it seriously enough, right? He's winning and he wants his moment, basically. And we're giving it to him. We're like, oh, that's a good roll. That's a good move. You know, we're being very sportsmanlike about it. But, like, we're playing Chaos against Orcs. It's hilarious how things go wrong from time to time. And he's just not having it. And he tables us. And he just goes, yeah, well, you know, and he goes, well, good game. And I was like, yeah, good game, that's fine. And we leave it there. Anyway, he leaves, because obviously he gets to go early. Sorry, a bit salty. So obviously he gets to go early, so he leaves. And, you know, he goes to buy, here's the thing, he goes to buy 3 bottles of champagne, right? And me and James are like, ooh, because me and James are going out that night for a couple of hours. And we're like, ooh, maybe that's a treat for us. Oh, you know what's coming. Comes back in, takes all 3 bottles upstairs, puts them in the fridge. Says, me and my wife are going to have a nice time tonight, aren't we? I was like, yeah, cool. Now, again, it's presumptuous of me to want the guys to buy me a fucking bottle of champagne. I know, but we've worked so hard for him, and as our reward, we got to paint our own models. I got to play him once in a game, and then he kicked our asses in the game. We had no chance of winning in another game. You know, I just thought this guy will totally win me round if he gives us a bottle of wine, because he knows we're going out. If he gives us a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne, I'm gonna be like, wow, what a. So his heart's in the right place. He's a bit of a neurotic douche, but his heart's in the right place. No, and that was just one of the moments where I was like, okay, this guy's just a massive bellend. You know, I really want to see the best in most people, unless you really annoy me to the point where I think you're despicable as a person, which has happened quite more than once. You know, where I just think you're a bit of a dickhead and no redeeming qualities. This guy had redeeming qualities. Most definitely. No matter what anyone says about him, he was a net negative, is what I'm saying. Like, so when I say Games Workshop is a net positive as a company, he was a net negative. Like he did 4 things good and 6 things really bad, right? So net negative. And if he'd have come in and just given us that little moment of like, hey, let's drink this, even if it was all together, let's have a few glasses of champagne to crack in the new year, you know, and you've worked really hard for the Christmas holidays. I've been like, okay, well, that's cool. Because I do stuff like that. Whenever I've run bars and stuff, I always did stuff like that. Because you want to appreciate the people who you're working with and make sure that they know they're valued and things like that. But that's my story of playing the boss at Warhammer 40,000. If you enjoyed it, maybe head over to Patreon, buy me a beer. I'm going out this weekend, so, you know, it's been a stressful week teaching, guys. So if you want to buy me a pint, buy me a pint. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But links there. Have a really lovely weekend. If I can do another story tomorrow, I will do. And for those of you I know you're all clamouring to see, I've been inundated with a comment that is clamouring to see more Black Coats and Dragon Age and things like that. Well, maybe this weekend you'll get some of that too. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you guys next time.